everyone, long time no see. It's Emma, Vigling with TYT Politics. I'm back from vacation, well rested. I was actually in Vietnam visiting a family member who's living there, so it was great to see her. And Jordan is now on vacation, so I'm holding down the fort here in Jersey. I kind of feel like I'm a little out of practice, so I hope that this story goes over well. Go check out the video that we just uploaded, Jordan's East Chicago story. He just broke this unbelievable story. I mean, he's been covering it for a while, but this video really humanizes and shows how low-income people are just completely decimated by the EPA's ineptitude and how devastating it is, and how it humanizes that particular issue. So I'll get right into it. No more about my vacation. But I want to talk a little bit about Obama and President Obama, and how basically his people have been leaking some statements to the media that have been said internally in meetings. Anytime you hear sources and who are saying positive things about President Obama, those tend to be his people. This is a Politico story entitled "Obama Retools His Political Operation for Post-Trump." And his White House communications director was quoted as saying, "The way he, President Obama, views his role is not that he himself is going to be out there giving fiery speeches and leading marches, but he wants to play a role in empowering and lifting up the next generation of leaders." That's basically what he sees his role as post-presidency. Presidents tend to be not very vocal after they leave office. That is what is etiquette, and President Obama is very obsessed with his legacy and how he's perceived and how his library is going to be. I hate that about him, because it's the same tendency that he has not to fight. He doesn't want to appear to be rude, essentially. So that's what bugs me about President Obama. But he says he's not going to be fiery and fighting for the issues, for example, like what Bernie Sanders would have done, because he believes in the issues. But he's going to be empowering leaders, which is not as consequential of a role and doesn't ruffle as many feathers. That's President Obama in a nutshell for you. But this is what stuck out to me in this piece. Obama has identified a few issues that would draw him out directly. This is when he would take a public stance against President Trump. A Muslim ban, though he still considers the chances of that remote, or moves that would cut back on protections he put in place for children known as Dreamers, who were brought back to the country illegally as minors and who've been living here since. If he deports thousands of kids, Obama has said several times in private meetings of late, according to people present, I don't know that I can sit on the sidelines. So people present mean people that are leaking this for President Obama, and he wants that to be known that that is what he's going to fight for if Donald Trump tries to do such things when he's president. Doesn't matter about economic policy. President Obama doesn't care if he slashes taxes for the rich. Oh, that's just the name of the game. That's just Republican politics as usual. When you don't fight for actual tax cuts and you extend the Bush tax cuts, that's what happens, President Obama. They cut taxes further. So President Obama says that he just can't stand to watch him deport thousands of kids. But President Obama was actually known as the deporter-in-chief by many immigration groups. Between 2009 and 2015, his administration has removed more than 2.5 million people through immigration orders, which doesn't include the number of people who have self-deported or who were turned away or returned to their home country by Customs and Border Patrol. You may say, okay, but presidents are always deporting people. There are always illegal people trying to come into the country, and people just trying to mess up our healthcare system and take our resources away from us. According to government data, the Obama administration has deported more people than any other president's administration in history. In fact, they have deported more than the sum of all the presidents of the 20th century. President George W. Bush's administration deported just over 2 million during his time in office, and Obama's numbers don't reflect his last year in office, for which the data is not available. President Obama directed U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement to focus on criminals, not families, during his November 2014 executive action on immigration. In the fiscal year of 2015, 91% of the people removed from inside of the U.S. were previously convicted of a crime. The administration made the first priority threats to national security, border security, and public safety. That includes gang members, convicted felons, or charged with aggravated felony, or anyone apprehended at the border trying to enter the country illegally. In 2015, 81% of the removals were the Priority 1 removals. This is what is interesting to me. First priority is gang members, convicted felons, aggravated felony, and anyone apprehended at the border trying to enter the country illegally. That last one is very different from the first one. So basically, he has a theoretical wall. People can't come by. If they're caught, then they get immediately deported. Which, I think that this immigration stance is not unreasonable, but he deported more people than President Bush. He is called the deporter-in-chief by immigration groups. And this is what bugs me about the Democrats. So this story is not to harp on President Obama and say you should have done this differently. I've made it clear that I wish Obama was more progressive, and I don't want to beat a dead horse for him on his way out. But he's saying that he will get involved in politics again and be vocal again if President Trump tries to do and cut back on these very things. But Obama, you weren't a champion for immigrants in the past. You did tit-for-tat little things, and I like the Dreamer policy. But again, you're a chicken. You never stick up for this kind of stuff. What I don't love is corporate Democrats like President Obama smugly riding this very justified anti-Trump wave, preaching tolerance and acceptance, and I will get back into politics if Trump tries to infringe on the rights of our immigrants. But you were doing that in some ways. And the reason Trump got elected is because not many Latinos turned out for you. That's a part of a myriad of factors. But if you had been a little bit better on immigration, do you think that that would have made a difference in this razor-thin election? Absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, this is according to Pew Research, Hillary Clinton won 66% of the vote, Latino voters on Election Day, according to the exit polling data, a level of Democratic support similar to 2008 when the Hispanics backed Barack Obama. However, Clinton's share of the Latino vote was lower than in 2012 when 71% of Latinos voted to re-elect Obama. Does President Obama's inaction on some of these immigration issues and action of deporting millions and millions of people have an effect on that? Absolutely. Hillary Clinton was running against a candidate who called Mexicans rapists. And she got a lesser share of the Latino vote than President Obama did 4 years ago. You know what that goes to show? The Latinos were sick of Democratic policies. They weren't just going to go blindly vote for them when their family members were being deported. And I don't even know if I necessarily disagree with many aspects of that specific policy, but the volume with which we were deporting people is astronomical. So to say Obama's intolerant is laughable. Of course he's tolerant. Of course he's way miles better, in my opinion, than Donald Trump. And he's done some incremental good things, but he has also had some inexcusable positions. And President Obama, someone who's literally nicknamed Deporter-in-Chief, should not be talking about immigration and should not be talking about how he's going to get back into politics if Donald Trump does some of these immigration policies. There are inconsistencies, and the Democrats wonder why they lost ground in the Latino vote. So, they lost ground in the Latino vote to a guy who called Mexicans rapists and criminals. Blows my mind. So walk the walk, talk the talk, Democrats. There is no magical solution. There is no stronger together. There's no slogans. There's no more balloons. There's no more falsities. There's no more smoke screens. You've got to walk the walk, and you've got to talk the talk. Don't say stronger together and say that you're the party of tolerance and then just be a little bit better on paper than the Republican policies. So no more celebrities making inspirational videos about tolerance. I don't want to hear it. Show me in your policies. President Obama, you're hypocritical on this to an extent. Walk the walk, talk the talk. Glad to be back, my friends. Have a great day.